Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. What a Monday it has been. What a week it has been. It's Monday at 10:14 a.m. We'll continue to preview Monday Night Football to conclude week number 16 around the National Football League. No, because we have to, Donnie. We have to. We have
Yeah, but
to
I
look
want to
at
talk
the props.
injuries.
Oh, okay.
Let's be Doc. Come on. Let's take a look at some
New
things.
segment idea.
Yeah.
If we don't have the Pro Football Doc, we go to Dr. Donnie. And we say that with the very big caveat and make sure that we put this out there. In fact, we should have a disclaimer probably running across the screen. Not an actual doctor.
I am a doctor.
But Dr. Donnie. All right, so here we go. I'm going to ask for your injury insight and analysis. DRS, I do just want to say, as we talked about earlier, really unfortunate, scary, and significant injury to Tank Dell, who was having a great game for Houston in his second year. 6 grabs, 98 yards, and a touchdown that made it a one-possession game in the second half against KC, but on the touchdown grab, collided with his teammate. It is a dislocated kneecap. It's about as significant of a knee injury as one can suffer. It is gruesome. It is significant. The setback is a big one, and a large and long recovery process is now starting for Tank Dell, who remained in a hospital in Kansas City in the 24 hours or so after suffering the injury. So our thoughts with Dell and his long road to recovery.
And also, as a Houston fan, you're getting robbed this season. How much fun did we think Houston would be? Picking them to win the division, I thought they would do that and say, wow, look at that 3-headed monster at wide receiver. You add Joe Mixon in the backfield. You had almost a rookie of the year / MVP last year in CJ Stroud. What could they do? What type of damage could they inflict if they got into the playoffs? Now you're down to Nico Collins, who is sensational, and you still have Joe Mixon. But does anybody think that round one game now is hey, if Houston wins, they might be lucky, even they were at home? If you had Diggs out there and Nico Collins and a healthy Mechie and a Tank Dell and a Dalton Schultz and a Mixon, boy, that's a fun lineup here. And you're left with just Nico Collins. That's the first part that I look at where it's a shame, where I thought they might be so much fun to watch in the playoffs. Now it looks like a one and done in this point, and it's not their fault. It's not from bad play. It's just a war of attrition that they're losing, Ben.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. 9-6 is the outright record for the Texans. They can move up the AFC playoff standings, but they would need some help really to move off of that 4 line. They will host the opening round. More than likely, they will get the top at-large wild card team that at this current moment is Baltimore. They played each other last year, albeit in the Charm City. The Ravens won that game comfortably in the divisional round. But here is really where Dr. Donnie excels. When it comes to injuries around the calf muscle and any hamstring issues that might be out there. Donnie, Chris Jones, of course, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the sport for Kansas City. Calf injury on Saturday afternoon. Marshon Lattimore, a great game yesterday against the Philadelphia Eagles. Hamstring injury. Drake London, hamstring injury that Atlanta did say he could have returned if it was even remotely close against the New York Giants. DRS, calves, hamstrings, it's your time to shine. What's the outlook for Chris Jones, Marshon Lattimore, and Drake London? You can pick one or talk about all three, whatever you want to do.
No, we're going to talk about all three. Let's start here with Chris Jones. You got a big man who absolutely, when the game is on the line, maybe the most dominant defensive lineman in football as it stands right now. If he has a calf injury, the perfect scenario for the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, look, 2 games to play, got to win 1, and we're going to be the number 1 seed. How does he have a calf injury on a Saturday and then play again on a Wednesday? That can't happen. I don't think Chris Jones is going to be there, but I use this caveat. Do we actually get accurate reports on who's injured and how they're injured for Kansas City? So that one's a little bit more murky. But for me, I don't think we see him on Christmas Day. Let's get to the next one here, which will be Marshon Lattimore. This is the tough one where you look at, Ben. This guy has fought hamstring injuries the entire way through the season. Comes back and immediately hurts that hamstring again. There's a chance we don't see him for the rest of the regular season because Washington is probably going to get in. The last thing you need to do is your number one cornerback acquisition is put him out there in a spot that he could harm again. And also keep in mind, it's not as if you're playing in Hawaii or Miami where it's 80 degrees and you can get that hamstring loosened up. You're in a cold weather environment. I expect him to miss this week and next week, Ben, and hopefully try to get back for the playoff run. Same thing with Drake London. The one thing I love about wide receivers and skill position players is unless they've had a hamstring injury, they don't understand it because technically it's not all that painful, but the inability to run and make cuts and damage it further, they always think they can play through. Like you can play through an ankle sprain or, a banged up shoulder. You can't do that. So I don't care if they said, hey, look, he hurt his hamstring but couldn't come back here. You know what? I put the odds on Drake London playing next week, 50-50. And if he does play, Ben, he's not going to finish that football game. How about that?
Wow, the hamstring prognosis for Drake London. That might have been the matchup, DRS, for our Sunday night football game in Landover. Drake London against Marshon Lattimore. We shall see. Now, I wasn't here again. I was out buying Christmas gifts as Donnie was breaking down Michael Penix Jr. and his debut as a starter for Atlanta. It wasn't overwhelmingly great, but he didn't have to do all that much. And the interception on that final box score and stat line was so much more on Kyle Pitts that might have been Michael Penix's first NFL passing touchdown than it was on Penix. It's a 4.5-point spread in favor of the Commanders for Sunday night. Washington trying to improve its stock in the seed line around the NFC and even still has a shot. I guess probably by that time they will know if they can win the NFC East, as Philadelphia just needs to beat Dallas earlier on Sunday to clinch that division. But I still look at the Commanders maybe humbling the Falcons, if you will, in that spot. At least that is my estimation. We don't have the doc, unfortunately. We did have Dr. Donnie. Should we still take a look at the field views? Oh, we are. Awesome. All right. Here's the field views on SportsInjuryCentralScore.com. That is SICScore.com, SICScore.com. Looks pretty green. Looks like a
big
freaking Christmas tree out there. Yeah. Oh, my
big
God.
Edge here, by the way, based on it. You have the damaged New Orleans Saints coming in at a 68.4 rating, but then you have the 92.7 rating on offense. 11-point advantage toward the Packers tonight. Packers. Dun, 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 dun. Go, Pack, go.